Hello everyone, welcome to the final group presentation by Zimbabwe, being done by Marandre Mfaro on behalf of your team. The presentation's theme is Inclusive Education Teacher Training, and it focuses on the happenings in Zimbabwe. The objectives for this presentation are as follows. Objective number 1 is to draw particular focus on teacher training on Module 1, 2, and 3 of 2022 Foundations of Disability Inclusive Education Sector Planning. Number 2 is to develop a SWOT analysis on teacher training, and lastly, to come up with an action plan based on activities in Module 2 and 3. The Special Education Program started in 1983 at the United College of Education, which is an associate college of the University of Zimbabwe. It offered a certificate of education in special education and later upgraded it to a diploma level. Training at UCE was designed for in-service general education teachers who were willing to train as special education teachers in hearing impairment, visual impairment, intellectual impairment, and learning disabilities, now specific learning difficulties. In 1993, the government of Zimbabwe introduced an undergraduate degree in special education at UZ, focusing on the following areas of specialization. That is visual impairments, hearing impairments, mental retardation, which is now intellectual impairment, but has since added specific learning difficulties and gifted education. In 2020, UZ introduced a master's degree in inclusive education. Also, PhDs in inclusive education are being offered, as well as other short courses training on inclusive education. UZ has also a master's degree in assistive technology development and production in 2022, but it still has to attract takers. Other universities have joined in the move, and they are now moving towards inclusive education and not special needs education. Universities such as the Great Zimbabwe University, Reformed Church in Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe Open University now have inclusive education programs at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Great Zimbabwe introduced a teacher capacity development program on inclusive education, which is an in-service program in 2019, and this is still ongoing. The in-service teachers trained are very effective as they are able to handle learners with all types of impairments in the mainstream and special schools. The challenge is that they usually leave the country for greener pastures, making Zimbabwe a training ground. The other challenge is that the removal of paid manpower development leave on the in-service program and introduction of an honors degree in inclusive education resulted in the intake greatly reduced. There is curriculum review in teacher training institutions, colleges, and they will be mandated to have some modules on inclusive education. Now we are on SWOT analysis of teacher training in inclusive education. The strengths. Zimbabwe ratified the CRPD, which promotes inclusive education. The Zimbabwe Constitution, Section 22 and 83 promote disability inclusion. The National Disability Policy is also very clear on inclusive education, in particular Section 9.3 subsections 9.3.1 to 9.3.37. There are some inclusive experts with some international experience that can drive the agenda for inclusion, both at research, policy drafting, and capacity development. There are various development partners supporting inclusive education in Zimbabwe. That is the likes of UNESCO, UNICEF, CBM, Save the Children, Leonard Cheshire Zimbabwe Trust, and Plan International, as well as others. Section 83 of the Institution is a clause which says if resources are available, it leaves disability inclusion at the mercy of all well wishes, and there are some more challenges that are underneath. Opportunities can be drawn from the teacher training. One, there are numerous learners with disabilities that are in dire need of assistance. Two, teacher training institutions available that are pro-inclusive education. Three, a draft of higher and tertiary education. Disability inclusive education policy has been drafted and awaiting national consultations. There are also threats there. One, we have got lack of assistive technology in both schools and teacher training institutions. Lack of funding as inclusive education is deemed as very expensive. Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education's inclusive policy is still in its draft form since 2019. To sum up, there is need for the finalization of the true draft inclusive education policies. There is also need to develop an inclusive education strategic plan with a costed implementation plan. There is need to increase awareness campaigns on the importance of implementing inclusive education. There is also need to continue to capacitate teachers and relevant stakeholders. There is also need to increase funding of inclusive education in the national budget and so forth. Thank you very much.